So, talking about current hacking, you'll have seen that I've been doing quite a bit of current hacking over the last few weeks probably now, doing various things by adding single resistors into the BCM, having a switched circuit, and also using our little pre-made printed circuit board for the current hack that goes inside the MCM. I'm just trying to find one of those while I'm talking out loud to you now, but we'll get to that in a second. So, but previously, you'll remember, we used to have current hack, which was based on this printed circuit board from at least 5 or 6 years ago now, and it used a combination of resistors, etc., to achieve various levels. This one was a switchable, potentially switchable board, so you could have 2 levels, and this is a switchable current hack here because it has relays for the switching. And these 3 are fixed boards if you don't want a switchable option. So these are the earlier alternative to the little tiny MCM printed circuit board now we have with switches on it, and the single resistor inside the MCM. So, but let's talk a bit about current hacking and the actual values. It's a bit confusing. I mean, years ago we got slightly confused with the values, etc. I may be confused myself. But if we look at this, we'll just talk through this one. So this is got 40% written on it, and this is 1K resistors and a 240R resistor for the BCM. And this board, when installed, reduces the detected current by 30%. Okay, so why does it say 40% on it? Well, if you imagine that the current is 100 amps, but we add our 30%, or add 30% reduction to that, so the car will only see, or the systems will only see 70 amps. So for the car to get back to where it wants to be, to try and develop the same amount of power, i.e. to think it's providing 100 amps, it has to increase the 70 it's now seeing by a certain percentage. And to get 70 back up to 40, it's not adding 30%. 30% of 70 does not bring you back up to 100. 40, just over 40% of 70 brings you back up to 100. So that's the figure I've written on the boards. So this one, for instance, is a 45% hack. I think it's 820R resistors and 200R resistors, and this is a plus 50% hack. This one is 560 resistors and something like that. Can't quite remember. But you see the issue there with the current hack calculation. So with the 1K resistors, we get a 30% reduction in the actual detected current. But to get for the system to then get back to where it wants to be, it has to add on more like 41 or 42% to the value it's detecting to get itself back to the power level it thinks it wants to be at. So I have been trying a switch current hack in the car just for testing, and that's controlled by the IMA CNC at the same time as the voltage hack. So at the same time the voltage hack was engaged, which gives me that fixed 120 volts if you remember, this was also engaging, and I was using wide open throttle as the trigger mechanism for this. So this has got 2 levels of hack on it. This has got the plus 40%, we'll call it. It's got the 1K resistors and 240R resistors, and then it's got what I would probably call well, certainly at least plus 50%, because the resistor values drop the detected current down by 50%. So if the car is pushing 100 amps and then we engage the plus 50% module, what happens is the car only then sees 50 amps. And if it wants to increase that back to 100, it has to actually add 100% of 50 back onto 50 to get it where it is. So the naming is a little bit confusing. So is this plus 50 or plus 100? Yeah, so anyway, as you can see what the issue is there. So that you might actually call this a switchable plus 40 and plus 100% board, because this offers you the plus 40% option with the 1K resistors, and then with the much lower value resistors, the system only detects 50% of its actual current, and therefore has to double the current to achieve what it was trying to achieve before. So you could say that's plus 100%. Anyway, so yeah, interesting testing these. That's obviously very lively when that kicks in, and the system will tolerate that at higher RPMs. CVT is particularly suitable for that, so that's not an issue, and it switches back down to the plus 40% of the 1K resistors when you let your foot off the throttle, obviously, or when you start regenning. So that is not an issue with that. So that's quite interesting. So that's where we are with the current hacks. I can't find one of my little tiny current hack boards at the minute to show you, but you've seen those. They are tiny and use the little tiny surface mount resistors that Isaac has made for those little tiny boards. You've seen those before. I just have one on hand to show you at the moment. So current hacking, yes, it's interesting, and I'm still researching it. But as we know, the 1K resistor current hack, we'll call it plus 40% for the sake of argument, with the 1K resistors and the 240R resistors. Works very well for assist and regen in all situations. So that's the easiest and simplest one to install. I still have loads of these printed circuit boards if you want to do it the old-fashioned way and hack into the harness, but if you prefer the little tiny printed circuit board to drop into the MCM and a single resistor to add to the BCM, then that is also available. So that's where we are with current hacking.